Pathmonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add PathMonk to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmonk.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Colby from PhoneBurner. How you doing today, Colby?
Good. How are you doing, Ernesto?
Great, great. Good day, and well, good to have you on today's show.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Excited to speak with you.
Awesome, great. Well, let's get into it, right? Let's see what phone burner is all about. I'm sure our listeners are eager to know. Tell us a little bit more in your own words. What is it all about?
Yeah, so we are a dialer solution, obviously a decent number of those in the market. But for people that aren't familiar with us, we're a solution that's focused on the activation of phone calls. So there's a lot of pieces out there when it comes to lead generation and getting in front of people, but we feel like we kind of neatly embed ourselves in that process as really being the activation component and allowing people to just simply get through calls more quickly at a much higher live connection rate.
Definitely, that's always important. And well, so that everyone that is listening can get a good understanding of phone burner,
Yeah.
what key problems do you solve for clients?
So probably like any other dialer in the space, we're going to address speed. The main difference for us versus like auto or predictive dialers that you'd see out there is what we're called what's referred to as a power dialer. I didn't know this before starting at PhoneBurner. If you're not in the telecom space, it's probably not something you've heard of, but power dialing is working through contacts in a much more sequential, intentional manner where you're working through them one to one versus calling people, 6 to 10 people at one time. It just allows a bit more intentionality, keeps your numbers a bit healthier, and increases those live connection rates, which is really the biggest problem that we're seeking to address is how do you actually get more people on the phone so you have more talk time and more significant conversations to lead to actual leads and conversions down the road. And so amongst the many things that we kind of help focus on from the phone call piece, really that live connection thing is the most important to us.
Definitely, especially right over the internet. I think it's super important to have the connection and the presence there. But so then would it be fair to say that your clients are all would be to B2B, or is there a segment vertical that you guys like to go for, Colby?
Yeah, I would say traditionally the majority of our customers are B2B. We have about 3,000 clients as it stands today. But a lot of those, we've been around since 2008. We're a privately owned company. But we've seen a bit of a shift in kind of the users as well. So as we've, um, you know, uh, talked about phone calling with a number of different groups, we've seen an increase in spaces like software and tech. Whereas traditionally we also had a lot of like real estate or mortgage presence and kind of various industries. I think long-term B2B is where we will reside and where we're seeing sophisticated customers come to us, but we've got a ton of just individuals users that come to us. And so for instance, I often talk about like large mortgage groups or large financial representation institutions where maybe the entire location or the entire sales floor, or, whatever department is utilizing us doesn't purchase PhoneBurner, but an individual user will come and say, I want to increase my phone calls. I'd like to use you as a one-off and pay for it myself. So the use cases are pretty wide open. And industry-wise, we're all over the place, but we do have a few that we reside in that are, strong at the current moment.
Awesome, great to hear that. So, how does your audience typically find out about you guys, or what would you say is a top client acquisition channel for you?
Yeah, I think mostly at this point it's word of mouth and referrals. And that comes from, a couple different things. We have great reviews on G2, Capterra, Salesforce Exchange, like um, positive reviews not only from organizations that are using us, but just other people that have used us traditionally. So with the 3,000, clients, there's a lot that come through that kind of word of mouth channel. But obviously, we've seen a lot of people that migrate organizations, pick up PhoneBurner again at their new spot, which is always really great for us. And a lot of our traffic is just driven by website. Obviously, we've got kind of supplemental, SEO pieces that are in play, but a lot of it comes from that word of mouth component.
All right, awesome, great to hear that. And well, I am here on the website, phoneburner.com.
Yeah.
What role does the website play for you guys as client acquisition?
I think for us, maybe more than a lot of organizations, it's critical because we're trying to get people into the solution actually using it. Like we're constantly pushing folks into free trials so that they have kind of that proof of concept and they understand. And it's important to us that people try it out and they feel comfortable with it before moving forward. So we want to make that, experience as seamless as possible. And really, as we kind of look at that, we want that to be not only an easy sign up process for the trial, but we want everything there. So transparency is also big too. We've got the pricing posted on the website. We've got hopefully relevant case studies, trying to educate the community without providing too much information. It's a fine line to walk.
All right, awesome, great. And is there anything that you've learned about what makes a great converting website, like any tools, tips, methods, approaches that you would recommend?
I think speed and ease for the people that are utilizing the solution or thinking about utilizing the solution. We just want them to be able to accomplish their goals as fast as possible. And especially in a world where you're constantly bombarded with information, we want you to be able to, complete those things in a couple clicks. So our marketing team often refers to the website as a front door to an organization. And you still should have a target audience. If you're trying to be all things for all people, much like in my sales role, it's just not going to be possible. So you have to sometimes still think about, what are the top line most important things to people? We're happy to talk about, all the offers that we have as we get into more detailed discussions. But if you're trying to just overload that website with too much content, that can be problematic.
All right, awesome, great to hear that. And well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about you. You there with PhoneBurner, what are some key tasks you focus on your day-to-day work?
For me, we're standing up our outbound motion formally with a concerted effort on this in 2024. So we've probably been 97, 98% an inbound business, which is not a terrible place to be or a huge problem to have. But that's where I'm spending a lot of my time. If it's not prospecting, it's having conversations about who can be, good customers for us. How can we develop strategic partnerships with groups that will continue to bring, organizations to us that are a good fit for PhoneBurner? And a lot of the time that's looked like sales development or kind of, frontline sales processes. But I think there are other applications that we haven't leaned into as much that could be possibilities. So I'm exploring kind of all avenues for us, which includes things like, you know, customer support who may have a lot of call tasks that they need to get through, or just kind of various other sectors or industries we haven't spent a ton of time in. And I think that will just change the conversation around the entire organization about how the solution is utilized, and we should receive feedback about how we can continue to improve.
Definitely. And well, let's jump into my following section. It's the rapid fire question round. So are you ready for them, Colby?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. All right. First up, what is the last book that you read?
The last book I completed was Unbroken. It's a story about a runner during the World War II era who I think broke the 5 minute mile pace, competed at one of the Olympics right before World War II occurred, and then eventually enlisted with the military and was captured as a POW when his plane went down. And so it's been kind of that process of not only being this well-known Olympic runner, but also kind of being captured and being a POW in Japan and what that looked like. Didn't know a lot about it. And then also kind of reading one right now that's not super lighthearted as well, but it's evicted kind of around the eviction crisis in the US and kind of what eviction policies look like and housing insecurity for a lot of folks.
All right, awesome, great reads there. So what is one single thing that your company's focused on at the moment the most?
I think for us, it's just pure growth and leaning into what I said about live connection rates. We want to be the leader in that live connection percentage for anybody that's considering using a dialer and being, intentional about who they're reaching out to. That paired with being somebody that can be an expert when it comes to compliance or kind of trust and safety in the telecom space as you're making phone calls, we want to be that reliable partner.
All right, awesome, great to hear that. Now, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
I think from the marketing standpoint, it would just be like the refreshing of assets. Like there are so many things that constantly change. We have new integrations, we have new information that's out there. It's like often when we're creating an asset, a good problem to have, we have updates that occur at the company that need to be incorporated. So just automating that would be huge.
Awesome, great to hear that. Now, if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Um, I think just kind of follow up or the solicitation of information. A lot of the time we're asking for the same pieces, whether that's in sales or marketing, but you still have to manipulate it to a degree with for each group that you're interacting with. And I don't really know if that ever goes away, but just kind of thinking pie in the sky, if it was possible to kind of send follow-up information or follow-up emails in an easier capacity, that would be great.
Awesome, great to hear that. And well, Colby, is there one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
I think for this applies not only to marketing, but just, don't be afraid to look dumb. Don't be afraid to, and specifically don't be afraid to ask questions that you don't know the answer to. I think I spent a lot of my life trying to either fake it or just sitting silently, not asking the questions because I didn't want to look stupid. I think if you can realize sooner in your life that it's okay to be that person to raise your hand and ask the question, you'll go farther, you'll learn more, and everybody around you will benefit from that too.
Definitely some great advice. Well, Colby, thanks a lot for being on the show with us today. I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about PhoneBurner?
We're the leader in live connection rates. So if you want to talk to more people and increase your sales volume, come give us a shout. Sign up for a free trial. We'd love to have you test it out.
Awesome, great. Well, for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And Colby, thank you so much for being on with us today and looking forward to our next episode at Pat Monk Presents. Thanks a lot, Colby.
Thanks, Ernesto. I appreciate it.